Hello, everybody. I am Christina Taylor, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from North Canton, Ohio. Here's my hand so you can tell that I'm actually here. Um, I am coming to you live with a recorded video, but I'm live now, obviously. And I'm coming to you to share some cards that are typically we've used fall themed stamps and images, but we're using them in a summer fun kind of way for cards. So something to do a little differently with those fall stamps. And I'll talk with you here in a little bit about what's coming up as far as our fall classes. But I thank you for joining me here today. And as a reminder, if you are not already a subscriber to my channel, to please, if you've got this video through a link, find me on YouTube at Christina Taylor Stamp Me Crazy, and remember to hit the subscribe button. And when you watch the videos, if you could give me a thumbs up, that would be great. And as always, feel free to comment and give me your feedback on the videos. I very much appreciate that. And share my channel with others. And that helps me to be able to reach other stampers and share their creativity with them as well. So, this is just a peek at the cards. I'm going to remove these from the table and we're going to talk a little bit about a few things here. So this is, of course, our annual catalog. Currently, our current promotion, and we are here in August of 2025. The in-color products are 15% off. So you've got your cardstock, your inks, your blends, markers, a lot of the designer series papers, kits, anything with those in colors in it is 15% off now through the end of the month. So if you've been eyeing some of those, now's your time to get them and get them at a discounted savings. Also, just as a little side note, something new to be aware of. You might have noticed that our Stampin' Write markers are not in the current catalog. They are an online exclusive. And so when I'm talking about our markers, I'm talking about these are our Stampin' Write markers. They're different from our blends. And Stampin' Up! Has decided to phase those out. So they are currently on our last chance list. Last I checked, they were still available. But if you are a fan of our Stampin' Write markers, you want to go ahead and grab those now while you can still get them. Because they've noticed in a trend that most people are just shifting towards the blends to use those for their coloring in. However, I do love the Stampin' Write markers. They're great for coloring on our stamps and then stamping, to get like your green stem and your, say, pink flower at the same time when you stamp it. Um, also, another note to be aware of is that Stampin' Up! Is phasing out our red rubber cling stamps. So let me grab one set here. So this is our red rubber cling stamps. Okay. They are phasing the red rubber out because they have had increasing issues with trying to source the red rubber to be able to make the stamps. So as you know, Stampin' Up! Manufactures all their stamps in the United States and Utah. And that has become a bigger and bigger problem. So we are transitioning over to like all polymer as far as our stamp sets, which would be, let's see, I'm going to grab a polymer stamp set. So this is our photopolymer or the clear stamps that we offer. So that's something you're going to see slowly happening. And by the catalog, this catalog next year in May of 2026, it should be all polymer offerings as far as stamp sets. Also, you'll see a different packaging being offered. We're going to be offering our stamp sets in more like, not exactly like this, but very similar. The envelopes will have a stamp set in there, and then you'll have an envelope for your dies. So that's kind of cool as far as storing. They'll be the same size, and you can store them in like a file system if you like. Also, something new is our dies will come with a picture of those dies on the front. So oftentimes you have to flip over and kind of look at your dies going forward as the Stampin' Up! Transitions into the new packaging. the die set name will also have the images on the front too, along with the stamp set in the envelope that is being now going to be shipped in. So something a little different. If you like our DVD cases, they are available for purchase. And I would say if that's something that works better for your storage system, maybe stock up and buy a few so you've got those and you can kind of put those envelopes into the DVD cases. I do like the spine of the stamp cases. I like being able to see the name of the set and then the imagery. It helps me identify what I'm looking for very quickly. So this works really well for me, but I do not make those decisions for Stampin' Up. So I just kind of have to work with what is being offered. So again, this is our current catalog, the Stampin' Up! Catalog for September through December, which is all of our fall and winter items, will be coming out here September 1st. And I do have an order of those catalogs being placed. I'm waiting for them to arrive. I think they're going to be here on Monday. So if that's something you would like to get a copy of, please let me know. So I'll put this aside. And then lastly, before we start stamping with our Splash of Summer Autumn class, little fun little spin on the name there. I wanted to share August Paper Pumpkin with you. And I have an extra kit of this particular kit. So if you have interest in this, the first person that messages me that you're welcome to the kit, it is $27. That includes the shipping and the tax and everything. And so the August kit, this one is Farmhouse Florals, just came out. And I'm going to share with you what is in this kit because you've got a little bit of a bonus. Actually, kind of two bonuses because you get an in color in this kit. And we're going to be using the in color in um, on one of the projects today, this particular one. So this is the Farmhouse Florals. I don't know if my camera's picking up the best picture of this, but you've got these really fun images with these wildflowers popping out of various different things, the typewriter, a bag, and then like some pots on a windowsill. So this card kit makes 9 cards. And with this kit, you get a bonus stamp set. So this would be the normal stamp set. This is the one that's included. It's called Farmhouse Florals. And then you are also going to get Friendly Florals, which is this stamp set. So you're getting 2 stamp sets in this month's kit, which is a nice little bonus. And I will share with you the stamps images on so you can get a kind of a peek. Stampin' Up! Includes this printout so that way you can put it with your stamp sets and know what the sentiments are in the images. So as you can see on this one, you've got the for you, thank you. Just a note, you are loved. Or let's see, to say with a dot, dot, dot. So just a note to say you are loved. Maybe you would put that together like that. Just a note to say hello. Forever your friend. And then this says, it's upside down here. Let's see. It says, good friends are hard to find. I'm so glad we found each other. So that's in the one stamp set. And then in this one with the little teapot and the flowers, you've got for a great friend, always here for you. You're simply the best. And thank you for the constant friendship and listening ear. So all really good sentiments and some really nice fun imagery as well. The Stampin' Spot in this kit is Secret Sea, which is one of our new in colors. You've got your twine, your linen thread, I should say, and some mini Stampin' Dimensionals. And then you've got 9 envelopes, and they have, which if you remember, if you've been a stamper for a while, we've had a confetti paper, and they've got little flecks on the envelopes, which is very reminiscent of that confetti cardstock, and I love it. So I'm totally here for that. And then you've got your die cut pieces. So these are images that are already die cut for you. You'll just pop them out and use them on your cards. And the instructions, of course, are always on that color printout. And then you've got your 3 window pieces for that particular card, all your die cut labels, which you can't really see on this, but they're all die cut already out for you. You just got to pop them out. And then see. We've got three with this image, which it looks as though you're taking, so there's some die cut pieces and you're taking and giving dimension to this. So putting the bag over top of that and popping up some of the flowers. You could extend the amount of cards in your kit by actually just using this and cutting this off and duplicating this design on your die cut pieces. I think you could definitely just get double the amount of cards by doing it that way. Again, these have the little flex on them, so you've got that, which is a nice feature. Then you've got three of the like confetti card bases, which is camera's really hard at picking that one up. So you've got those three, and then lastly, you've got this one with the little typewriter. And again, you could do that same thing with this one. It's indicating for you to put this over top of this to give it dimension and some of the flowers, but I would maybe use it and cut this off, put a little piece of DSP there and kind of duplicate this card with those die cut pieces and extend your kit to get a few more cards out. But either way, whether you do it that way, do it just as the kit is designed and get the 9 cards out of it, or you kind of play with it and get some alternative ideas that kind of increase your card count for the kit. So just wanted to share that with you. Again, this is the August Farmhouse Florals. I have one extra kit, so if you'd like that, just message me and I will set that aside for you. Okay, let me get my supplies and then we're going to go ahead and start stamping. Okay. So this is a peek at the first card that we're going to do. I do want to take a moment and just talk to you a little bit about upcoming classes. So if you're on my email list, you will get this information, but I just kind of wanted to share with you. And my email, I don't know if I have it on here, but it's stampmecrazy@sbcglobal.net. So if you are not on my email list and you would like to be, just send me a message to get on that list and you'll get my class details and everything else that's going on. Also in today's video, if there's anything that you see here that you're wanting to get for your creative collection, you can find them in my online store at stampingyoucrazy.stampinup.net and search in my online store and shop away right there. So there's a lot of good savings. There's a lot of things on the last chance list too to grab some extra bargains. And some of the things we're using today are actually on the last chance list. And I'll try to point those out for you. So coming up in September. So I have got classes on the third Wednesday of September, October, and November. That's September 17th, October 15th, and November 19th. Those will be Wednesday classes. And I believe the offering is a 1 to 3, like in the afternoon, and then a 6:30 to 8:30. So I think September, October, and November are all afternoon and evening classes. I don't believe I have a morning session for those months. And I might tweak it a little bit because one of the uh, well, actually, both of the classes, some of the ladies were asking me about chicks and chocolate, and I've realized that we haven't done that this year. I believe we did it last year about this time, maybe even in July. And I thought, you know what? We haven't done that, and that's such a fun class. So I might tweak it a little bit, but I'm looking at offering an autumn class, a gratitude class, and then a winter theme class there in November. I know the winter one will most likely be a winter theme. Also, some of the ladies were asking, so I wanted to kind of share with you to give you a heads up on this. It's looking like Saturday, October 4th will be my holiday Christmas card class that I do every year, and we'll be doing 20 cards. I think that's going to be a 20 card class for a $40 price point, which is what I believe I normally have done it for. I'm going to really try to keep that cost at the same, even though we've had a supply increase. So again, watch your email for more details on that, but that's kind of what's coming up for the rest of the year. And I hope to kind of summarize that all in an email just to give you a look ahead so you can plan. So, okay. This first card, we are going to use the Artistic Leaf stamp set. And as you can see, this card is almost very summery and spring-like with its greens and yellows. And we've got that swirl embossing folder coming on it to give like motion and movement to those leaves. So let me share with you what we're using. Um, when putting this card together for any of you doing a kit, the only thing that I've popped up here is just the sentiment with some dimensionals. Everything else is flat to the card, and there is not an inside layer since it was lighter. I just left it open because I already had multiple layers on the front here. So we are using Lemon Lime Twist, Lemon Lolly, and Granny Apple Green for our colors. We are using the stamp set Artistic Leaves. This is a new stamp set. It's an online exclusive that just came out in July, and it's a two-step stamping set, which I'll show you how to use that in just a moment here. And you've got a couple different sentiments and then some little speckles as well, which I did not add them on this design, but those actually would be really cute offered on here. Maybe what I'll do, I know we didn't do that at class, but we could maybe experiment and do a little bit on that. So we'll see how I'm putting the scene together. There may not be too much, and I don't want to overpopulate the background of the card. And then I've used the So Swirly embossing folder for our texture. I've also grabbed the Lemon Lolly ribbon, which this was on the last chance list. It was part of Lemon Lolly, Bubblegum, and Azure Afternoon. It was a 3-pack, and you could get them together. I do not know if it's still on there, but if not, I'm sure we have another Lemon Lolly ribbon that you could substitute. Okay. So let me tell you the supplies that we have. So I've got a piece of Lemon Lolly cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5. It is scored at 4.25. I've got a piece of Lemon Lime Twist that's 4 by 5.25. And I have die cut the labels already out, as you can see. Oh, I didn't think to, let me show you. Those die cut labels came out of the, as you can see, I use this set a lot, the stylish stitch shapes. So it's got squares, circles, and banners. And it's kind of haphazard in here, but I did use that for die cutting. And then we've got a piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5. And of course, our white envelope. I'm going to grab my foam mat because that is key when you're stamping photopolymers. It gives it a nice little extra cushion, and that's necessary to get a nice image. I'm going to start by folding the cardstock in half at our score line. Flatten that with the bone folder. So for class, I went ahead and die cut 2 size labels out because some of the sentiments on this stamp set are single, like that would fit on the slimmer one, but then you've got a double line one here. So I wanted to give the ladies options as far as what they could choose to make their card about as far as sentiments. Mm, goodness, I just got that ink all over my hand. Um, First project, and I've already put my fingers in the ink, so we're off to a great start. Okay, I'm just going to set these with what I want to use them with. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start by stamping the larger stamp first. And with this stamp set, this is the one with the vines or the veins of the leaf on it and the outline. So I want to stamp that first, and I'm going to do that in my Lemon Lime Twist. And okay. So I'm going to put three on there, and then I'm going to come in with my smaller one and do the Granny Apple Green and give you that nice contrast of color there. Okay, so I've got three, and I want to come back in and fill up a little bit of this space here, this white space. So I'm going to come in with just a little bit of the side leaves just to get them on there, get a little extra color. Okay. So I like how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and do my envelope while I'm thinking of it. I think what I'll do is just a nice one on the front there. Let me grab my, need a chamois to clean my stamp here. This is just my little stamping, Simply Chamois. It's to clean my stamps. And I've just got it in a little case with some designer series paper to make it pretty there. Okay, so we've done our lemon lime twist, and I'm done with that one. So I'm going to shut that ink. And let me come back here with this. We're going to come back to stamping that. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment because I want to use the Granny Apple Green, and then I can go ahead and shut that ink. So I'm done with this one too. So I'm going to use the Celebrate Today. And with that sentiment, you can pretty much put that on any occasion that you want to celebrate. It can be used for multiple different occasions. So I put the Celebrate Today on there. And I'm going to go ahead and shut that ink as well. So we've got that. We're not going to use this one today. Just set that aside and use it for another project. Okay, so I'm inking this one, the larger one with the lemon lolly. And these 2 points, so these little 2 points right here, kind of straddle the stem. That's how I explained it to the ladies at class when they were like lining it up. So you just want one on each side of the stem. And see how that stamps in there, and it just highlights where those white spots are at. They are now yellow. So you get like a really cool contrast. Okay. So I'm just putting this yellow on these little side points. Wait a minute, let me see. I'm trying to see which part of oh, this one. Try and figure out which leaf I had to line that up with on the stamp. Okay. All right, so we've got that one done. Now we're going to take this little second stamp for the smaller leaf, and it'll fill in this white area right here. So I'm just going to stamp that and get a little yellow on there for lemon lolly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, wait a minute. I need to come back. I didn't do this guy. Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and shut that yellow. Nice. And then, so now I've got my images all stamped. So I've got that contrast and the yellows and the greens. And then I'm going to take my embossing folder. This is one of the larger ones, so you can fit two card halves in here at the same time. It'll fit in a half a sheet of cardstock from your 8.5 by 11 size. So the ladies, when they stamped at class, did both of them and embossed them at the same time. So through the magic of TV, I have gone ahead and embossed it for you. So you see the nice texture on there. So we've got that done. And we are ready to layer and assemble our card. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some Tombow adhesive on this and put that top layer on. Okay. And then we're going to do the same with our embossed piece. Okay. Okay. Oh, let me put that on my chamois. And then I need some dimensionals for my sentiment. And because this is a little long, let me get my scissors here. I'm going to put one in the center. So for me, I want to put three on there just so I don't get like any sagginess there to the center of my label once I get that together. Think about where you want it. I'm going to put this one up a little bit higher. Okay. And then I need to grab some glue dots, which just going to grab these. I always have tons of these from the Paper Pumpkin kits. And they're perfect for glue dots. And I think I just kind of smushed that one, so I'm going to put another one there. Oh, I actually got to make my bow. Oh, for heaven's sake. Okay. All right, we'll just set that aside. So I'm going to take my ribbon, and this is my little bow maker. My husband makes these, just like a little bow jig for you to make different size bows. There's different holes in there, and I'm going to make a miniature one. So I'm just going to put those in the two closest ones. And this is how we use it. If you have interest in getting one of these, they're just $5 and you can contact me directly about getting it. If you need it shipped, then it of course would be the 5 plus the shipping. So I'm going to take my ribbon, bring it around the back of the nails and have like a little tail here. I want to cross them over. I'm going to take that tail part up and around and then tie it in a knot. As easy as that. I tighten it down while I've got those nails in there and just pop them right out. And trim off my ends there to get this adorably cute little bow. Super easy. Let me fasten my ribbon back there. Okay. And we'll put that on our project. Okay, so we're just going to set that right like that. Okay. All right, so there is our first project. And I will clear these supplies off and we'll come back with another project. All right, let me move those cards aside here. Okay. Okay, this is our next project that we're going to do. And so this is using the Prairie Grass stamp set, which traditionally would have like a fall kind of feel to it with the imagery that's in here. And we've kind of given it a summery, like soft colors kind of feel. Okay. And so the sentiment is popped up on here with some dimensionals. And I'm going to take you through how we created this card and what we used at class. So I use those stylish stitch shapes again, and I use the smaller circle here, which I think is the third from the third of the smallest sizes. So that's die cut out of basic white cardstock. And then we're using the Prairie Grass stamp set. Again, it has some, I'll try to get it closer there so you can get a look. It has some nice sentiments in it. And then these great fall, like grass images too. So we're, I think, going to use all three of them on this project. So we're using Balmy Blue ink and Fresh Freesia ink. And then I have brought in my Stamparatus that I'm going to use for the larger stamp. Instead of putting it on like the largest clear block, I decided to put it on the Stamparatus, even though Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry this anymore. It is a great tool, so if you have one, I encourage you to use it. It's great for like positioning your paper, and it's like with the larger stamps, sometimes it's hard for people to stamp those down and get a clear image on the first try. And this allows you to re-ink it and stamp it again to get a nice transfer of that image. So I decided to set it up that way for class. And then we are also using the beautiful Bokeh Designer Series paper, which I have loved this package quite a bit. Let me pull out some of the paper though, so you can get kind of an idea of what's in here. So I've used several of the colors. So there's also like a berry burst and um, a couple other colors, but this is what's left out of this package. So you get this like bokeh technique with the little dots, like it looks like bubbles. And then you kind of get the speckled, variegated colors with the different tones in there on the back side. So really pretty paper. And that is currently available. So you can find that in the online store. And then I pulled out the crimper. I know a lot of you that are watching, if you're been a long time crafter, you almost probably have one of these in your crafting tools. And I've pulled it out, so we're going to use it today. Stampin' Up, we did have a corrugated embossing folder, which accomplishes this kind of rippled look that you see here. So if you have that folder, feel free to use it. It'll accomplish a very similar effect. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to pull out the crimper and let's rediscover that. So it's a great tool. Let's use it. All right. So our supplies that we have, so we have got a piece of fresh freesia that is 5.5 by 8.5. We've got a piece, let's see, of basic white. That is, I'm trying to, okay, I couldn't read my notes. It's 4 by 5.25, a piece of basic white. That's for the inside. Then you've got a piece of balmy blue that is 3.25 by 5 3/8. And you've got a piece of designer series paper that is 3 by 5. Now, your designer series paper could be look slightly different than this. Whatever, it will have the colors in it to coordinate with the card. So just know that. Just know that if whatever you've got, it's going to coordinate with the card, but they all look a little different because I didn't have like, I need like 40 pieces of the same piece of designer series paper. I needed to kind of incorporate a little bit different variations. So, and if you have like a one with more coral in it, your paper in the balmy blue might be Calypso coral. Either way, it will coordinate with the project. So you could always use this side if you wanted to, but I'm going to use this because I like the flecks of the different colors on there. We've got our stitched circle shape on there for our sentiment. And then you've got a piece of ribbon, and mine, I'm going to use the balmy blue. On the example, I used fresh freesia. If you ordered a kit to go, you could have the balmy blue or the fresh freesia. Either way, it'll coordinate with your card. And this ribbon is 7.5 inches long. And then we've got our white envelope as well. So I'm going to start by folding the card base in half and flattening that with our bone folder to give that a nice crease. So let's start with the fun stuff. Well, it's all fun, but let's start with this. Let's start with the crimper. So my crimper, I'm trying to see in the light there, you can see it's got 2 arrows. So it's telling me I have to feed the cardstock in this way. So I'm going to put that in between the 2 little crimping bars, give the handle a squeeze, and then turn it with my opposite hand that's not holding the handle and wheel that through. And look at that magic. Love it. So that if you have a crimper and you haven't used it in a while, get that out. All right. We need to just get something to stamp on here because these are the cling stamps, so I don't need a mat. And I want to do a little stamping. So I'm gonna open up our inks. And I'm going to start with the cattails one, and we're going to stamp this cattails in Fresh Freesia on our Fresh Freesia cardstock base. And I'm stamping the four here. I'm not really going to see much of the other two, but I'll just do it for consistency purposes. And I'll go ahead and stamp the cattails on the envelope. We'll go ahead and double that. Okay. And then I'm going to stamp on the inside layer. We're going to do some of the grasses, and I'll do that in the Fresh Freesia as well. Stamp it once, and then I'll stamp it again twice to just get a little bit of a lighter variation. Okay. Right, so we've got those stamped. We'll go ahead and do our sentiment piece. So for the sentiment, I've chosen sending the healing power of love, and then inside, you're not alone, I'm here for you. So this is a hope and encouragement type card. And I'm going to do that. Let's see. I've got the Balmy Blue ink, but I do want to tie that Fresh Freesia in. So I'm going to go ahead and still stamp this in the Fresh Freesia. Okay. And then I think the inside one, I'm going to go ahead and stamp in the Balmy Blue. And I'm just going to drop that down at the bottom. That way I can write an encouraging message on the main part of my card. Okay, so all these pieces are stamped. I need to do my designer series paper. So I'm done with the Fresh Freesia ink. I'm going to close that up and bring in my Stamparatus. And I have made some arrows here to kind of help the ladies at class so they know where they had to put their paper. So they'll just take their designer series paper. So we'll do the same thing. And I put a little bit of like adhesive behind there, and I see that I've got this a little off. So watch my lines there. Okay, so I've got a little adhesive there, so I'm just pressing down to give that a little tap. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my ink pad and ink up the stamp, and then I'm going to set that right down. So I'm just going to take my little Stampin' Up! Nub here that I used as a cookie press, and I'm just going to press that down. And I like that. I think it looks fine, but you know what? I might want it a little darker. So we're just going to go ahead and ink it up again. That's the beauty of the Stamparatus. Take it down and stamp it again. And it just gives it a little bit stronger of an image. And love that. It works out great. The Stamparatus is a beautiful thing. Okay, we're going to go ahead and shut those inks up. And we're ready to put our card together. Okay, so we'll start by putting our, where's my glue? It's like, where was it? We're going to start by putting some adhesive on the inside layer and just tuck that in there. Close that. And then, so at class, so you can see my example. I've kind of set those at an angle. I've kept this one straight, but set my blue at an angle just to create a little different interest. Some of the ladies at class, they wanted to keep things straight, so they went ahead and put their crimped piece on straight and layered this over top. And they got a little bit of a layer all the way around. And you know what? You can't go wrong either way. So you do what you want to do. It's your card, but it is layered so that you can layer it just like that if you would like it more centered and framed. I'm going to go ahead and put it off kilter again because I actually quite like that. So it's good for me. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on this and just a little bit like that. Okay. And then we're going to do the same with our designer series paper. And we'll trim those little edges that are hanging over. So we'll get that all cleaned up. And then I'm just going to set this within the frame that works for me on this card. So we'll do that. Okay. So next I need to put my ribbon down in place. And the easiest way I find, and let me find my stamp and seal here. Sorry for my arm in the shot there. So the easiest thing that works for me when I'm putting ribbon down, when I want to zigzag it, I'm just going to put a little adhesive right on my designer series paper. And then I'm going to take my ribbon and just kind of tack it to that and zigzag it back and forth. Okay, so I've got it zigzagged right there. Then I'm going to grab my dimensionals, which we're using up this little sheet. So I'm just going to snip some of these. And take those tops out. Okay, and then I'm going to take my dimensionals and just put that right over top. And that allows that ribbon to just kind of, be up there just a little bit, gives a little lift to it and everything, and helps keep it in place. So then I'm going to flip my card over and just trim those edges where we've got just something hanging over, and it's very minimal on these other parts. Okay. So let me get those out the side. And there we go. We've got our second card. So this one you've got it with the fresh freesia ribbon. This one you've got it with the balmy blue. Both are equally flattering to the card. So they'll work out well, regardless of which one you have in your kit. Okay. All right, let me clean up these supplies and I'll come back with another project for you. Okay, all right. So this is our next project. And you are going to find that if you got a kit to go, you are going to find that your designer series papers and your colors of your card bases could be different from what I'm sharing with you today on these examples, along with what I'm going to stamp for you. You can see they all have different color palettes. So what the reason I had to do that was because we're stamping on this beautiful Peaceful View stamp. We're going to stamp this on designer series paper. So all of them will have a very different sunset, sunrise type look, but they are all very pleasing. So I think it was so exciting to watch the ladies stamp at class, and everyone's looked different, but they were like so excited with how they turned out because they were so different. So I hope that you find that same thing. I hope you're very happy with how they turn out with your stamped images as well and what your backgrounds look like. So this is a great way to use your designer series paper. And let me set these aside and kind of share with you what we're using. So the stamp sets that we're using is Peaceful View, which is a large background stamp that's in the annual catalog. And as you can see, I have it on this Stamparatus. We are going to use this Stamparatus today. And you know what? I did not put a piece of paper there. So I'm going to need to go get a piece of paper. So I'll circle back to that, but we're going to use the Stamparatus for that because it's a great positioning tool, and we want to make sure we get a good impression with this tree and fence and the grass image. So we're using that. The die cuts that I have used on this project, I chose this one right here in the stamp set, and then this one. And these are from the Unbounded Love Dies. These are actually on the last chance list. You can get these now. They're on sale, and I can't remember the price, but I know they're on the last chance list, and I know they are on sale. They are a great die set. You get tons of label dies as well as some extra pieces of like foliage and little flower stems and things. So you can't go wrong with um investing in that particular stamp set or that particular die set. There is the stamp set is right here. It's called Unabounded Love, and it has like a ton of just different sentiments in it that for like kind of all occasion, all different type of sentiments. And that is also on the last chance list too. Makes me sad because it's not going to stick around, but it's been around for a while, so that's just how it goes sometimes. The other stamp set that we're using is called Loveliest Tree. And I put this stamp set out one for the sentiments that were in it. They fit nicely with the labels, whether it was the slim label or the wider label that the ladies chose. But then it also had this great tree in it, and they were able to stamp their tree on their inside layer to whatever cardstock base color they had. So it complemented their card. So that's why I've chosen that. And then the papers that we're using are the New Horizons papers. So the pack looks like this, but it's got all kinds of different, just fun, like landscapey type backgrounds. Now, I have pulled a ton of them out of here. So these are all kind of like watercolored that are left. But I pulled from there. And I also pulled from the Full of Life's stamps, designer series paper, and it's got all these fun, like watercolory type watercolor wash images. And these are what I didn't choose. They were a little darker. But both of these are on the last chance list, and I believe they're on sale for like 11 something. So you can grab those as well. They make great sunset, sunrise pictures. Like you can't go wrong with stamping this stamp on this designer series paper. Okay, what did I say? Oh, I need to get a stamping mat. So hang on just a second. Okay, I've put a paper layer down there so we can stamp on because the Secret C will our designer series paper is cut smaller than what this will stamp, so it would get ink everywhere. So we're going to use the Secret C. The reason I chose this was because on the designer series paper, it actually looks black. You get a nice silhouette image to it. But I originally had stamped it with StazOn, and I was like, I didn't want to do that on the paper. I was much happier with the Secret C image. So yeah, I went with that. It worked great. It came out very nicely on any of the papers that we used. I'm also using the Lemon Lime Twist because that is the color of the cardstock base that I'm using. And I think that's it. Now, something I do want to share with you is that let me grab a different piece of designer series paper other than what we're using. So this is a different piece than what I'm going to use on this example. So when I got this stamp set, because I loved it so much, I wanted to be able to create something so I could see what it was going to look like, particularly on designer series paper. So I cut a window sheet and then I stamped StazOn ink on it. And the StazOn ink will become permanent. So I've got this window sheet that I can then use as a template. And I did that because then I can take this paper and I can put this over top of it and I can be like, oh yeah, I really like that. I like the way that looks. But then I'm like, oh, it also allows you to turn it the opposite way and be like, you know what? I like this way better. I like that that creates more of like a horizon and that looks more like the sky and I can stamp it that way. So this just gives me, it's not like completely like solid. It gives you, but it gives you enough to where you can be like, I like the way this looks on this paper. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut my paper. I'm going to stamp on this. So I highly recommend if you get this stamp set to make yourself a template on a window sheet with StazOn ink so that you can then just layer it over top of things and you can see how it's going to look before you even stamp. So just a little tip there. Okay, let me put that aside. Okay, so our supplies, we've got our white envelope. We've got on this particular one, I'm using lemon lime twist, but you could have a variety of different colors in your packet. And again, they're going to match your designer series paper. So we've got it cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4.25 of the lemon lime twist. And then this is the designer series paper that I'm using. This is from the Full of Life stamps or pack of paper, and it is 4 by, wait, I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. Yeah, 4 by 5.25. Okay. And then you've got a piece of basic white that is going to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So just slightly bigger than this piece. And then you've got an inside layer that is 3.5 by 5. Okay. Now, you know what? Let me bring my template back here because this will kind of show you how my thought process was. So this is my paper that I'm working with, and I'm like, okay, let me put this over top here. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. I like that. That would look nice, but I'm like, okay, let me flip it around. And then I'm like, I like that too. I like this maybe creates a little bit more green on the bottom, then it looks like a beautiful sunset. So this is what I did. I just kept, doing this. I'm going to go with this way. We're going to stamp it this way. Okay. So we're going to start by folding a card base in half. Okay. And then we're going to do our stamping first. So let's bring this in. I need to get my little there. Okay. Oh, I don't have some adhesive. So let's just put a little bit of, you know what? I'm going to stick my shirt on it to get a little stick off of that. There. I don't want it to be so crazy that it's going to rip, and seal is very sticky, as you can see. So don't want it to be so sticky that it's going to rip my paper. All right, so I'm just made some little arrows here, and we'll hope that, I'm kind of in the ballpark of where I need to be because I had already done that for class, and then the sheets I had ripped off, so we're going to give it a go. Okay, so the Secret C is, like I said, it's a dark ink. I've got to I'm going to put this under here to kind of flatten it out a little bit. I'm just going to ink that up really well. You got it. Okay. And stamp that down. So I'm going to, I'm applying pressure. I've got both my hands here on this thing and just kind of gliding it around like a little hockey thing on an air hockey table. Okay. So I'm going to lift that up. And I'm like, okay, I like that, but I would like it to be a little deeper. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink my stamp again. And we're going to stamp that right down again. Okay. Running that back and forth again, applying pressure. This cute little bird is so adorable on this stamp. Like super pretty. Just love that. It's so peaceful, just as the name of the set goes. Okay, that is much better. I like that more. Oh my gosh, just look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Like we are looking out into a green field. Now let me try and take this up and then, yes, good. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and shut that. Put that aside. All right. And then we're gonna bring our little mat back in because we're gonna do a little stamping here. So for the class, so this is the other piece of my paper that I cut off. And what I did was take those label dies and I die cut labels out of this paper. So no matter which one I use, whether it's the greens or the pinks, it's going to pull out the colors of the project. It's gonna pull those out and it'll coordinate really well. So let's see. I've got to first really think about what sentiment. So I did the wide and the small one so the ladies could choose which one they would like. And I think I'm gonna make this one a sympathy card. So let me think about my label here. Do I want, you know what? I'm gonna keep it the greens. That's what's gonna be. So I'm gonna choose this one, put those aside, and got a card base. I'm gonna do a tree. So we're done. Well, nope, secret C. I need to stamp my sentiment in the secret C. So I'm gonna ink that up. And then I better bring it over here so I can actually see what I'm doing. Stamp that down. Okay, now we can go ahead and close this up because I will certainly be wearing the secret C if I do not. And then lemon lime twist. I'm gonna bring that one back in. Remember, we used this on the first project. And I want to stamp my tree. So I'm just going to ink the left side of it because I want to stamp a tree just on this lower portion to kind of go with my card. And then I'd like to do it on the right side of the tree. And I'm going to do that on the front of my envelope just to get a little bit peek of the tree there. Okay. And I think that is it. Okay, yes, for the ink. So we'll set those aside. Okay, so now we're going to layer our designer series paper on this white piece, and this white piece is cut, so it's just a very thin layer. It creates a little bit of a frame, so it's going to make it pop. Okay, great. Whoops, I'm sorry if I was like off camera. I was kind of down here doing that. So you've got just a very thin layer, but really makes that color pop on there. And we're going to put that on the front of our card. So put some adhesive on here. Okay. And again, it's just going to be a very thin layer of frame there. And do the same with the white. Put that on the inside and create a border around that. Okay. All right, and then we're going to put our sympathy greeting on here. Now for mine, what I did was I cut off some of this. I didn't want this all over here. I didn't want it to like either cover my bird or whatever. I wanted to bump it and cut it off. So I'm just going to make a straight cut and cut that off where I want. And then I'm going to put that right there. So it's just coming out a little shorter than what it was. And you could do however you would like as well. And I'm going to put that flat on there. I'm not going to put dimensionals on it. Again, you could do how you wish to do that yourself. Okay. And then I realized I forgot my little bow here. So let me just go grab it. Okay. I've already got them tied, so you don't have to watch me tie another little bow. So you might have this little bow in your kit, or you could have the white one with the crinkle seam binding ribbon. Either one will go nicely. I'm just going to put that little bow right there. Thanks. Let me get some glue dots. So yeah, I ran out of the one ribbon, which sometimes happens, but because Stampin' Up! Is really great about having all kinds of coordination with their products, there's always another option. Okay, and we'll put that little bow right there to finish our card off. Okay, so there is our third project. So we've got these two options, and then that one is our third option. Okay. And I'm going to clean up these supplies and then come back with one more project for you. Hey, all right, you hanging in there with me? We've got one more project to go here. Okay, this is the next project we're going to do. And so we're using the sunflower stamping, the embossing folder in like a very summery, bright, fun way. All right, so let me share with you what we're using. So our ink is Coastal Cabana. We're going to be using these fun dyes. They are not fun dyes, embellishments. They're shades of green hexagons. So this is what's left of my project or in my supplies. There's, as you can see, there's clear, there's the lemon lime twist, and then I don't know which shade this is. I'm trying to think which color that is. If it's, I don't know, but it works very well with this project. And then there's like a Coastal Cabana color. So I've gone ahead and cut those up because those are in the kits for what you need. Now, some of them I did run out of, so you might have this little Coastal Cabana, like a round dot or a little gemstone. Either way, they're going to coordinate with your project. So these are in the main catalog with the Totally Awesome stamp set of suite of products. That's where you'll find those are very, very nice embellishment because they're flat. So low profile, should say. So we're using the Sunflower 3D embossing folder and the Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder. And they are the half a sheet of cardstock size. So you can put two card fronts in them or a full half a sheet of cardstock. Because they are 3D folders, we need to use the gray specialty plate for embossing. So we've got that as well. And then the die cuts, I've used the perennial postage dies, and I went ahead and used this size of the die cut and cut those out. So you should have three per card in your kit to be able to emboss those. The stamp set that we're using is the Blooming Phrases stamp set. We've used this before in class. I love it because it has a very versatile set of sentiments. So you can use this for just about every occasion. It would cover it. And this is an online exclusive, so you'll find this in the online store. All right, so we're going to go ahead. Oh, we're also using blending brushes and some daubers. Okay. So I have popped up with dimensionals the sunflower pieces and then the sentiment as well. The embellishments and then the white layer are all going on just with regular adhesive. Okay, so your card supplies, you've got a thick basic white piece of cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5 and it's scored at 4.25. You've got your white envelope. Everything is white in this kit. So this kit, so many of the ladies really love this project because it is just using white cardstock, but you're putting a pop of color with that blending, and it just creates such a beautiful card with, if you don't have the colored cardstock, you can very much add impact to your projects just by adding some ink color. So then you've got a piece in your kit of basic white that is 4 by 5.25. As you can see, I've gone ahead and embossed this. So this is the Forever Plaid embossing piece. That's already done. And then you'll have three die cut postage die cuts. And they are embossed them with sunflowers, which I have already gone ahead and done here. So you can see the texture on those. So there are three of those. Then you've got a 1/2 inch strip of white cardstock that's probably, oh, anywhere from like 4.5 to like maybe 5.5, 6 inches. It's just the strip there, and you'll cut off what you don't need with your sentiment. And of course, our white envelope. So this one's going to come together really easily. We're going to start by folding our card base in half, flatten that with our bone folder. And let's see, I want to build this before I put that on there. So I'm going to, oh, my, it's like, what do I need to do here? I need to do some blending. Oh my goodness. Today I made um sourdough bread. So this is my second time at making sourdough bread with a starter. And this time around I made a brown sugar cinnamon swirl sourdough bread. And I finished baking it right before I started this video. So I can smell it, like it smells so good. And I'm very anxious to like cut into it and eat some of it, like maybe toast it with some warm butter. It sounds really, really good. But then I had like some of so the starter, as you're using that, use so much of it, and then you have some that you can discard. Well, then I looked up recipes and I actually made some sourdough starter chocolate chip cookie bars. So they were yummy. I've already tried those because the bread is such a long process. So I baked the cookie bars yesterday. Anyway, that's my deliciousness of sharing for like treats. Okay, so I'm just going to use the dauber and get some ink on it. And I like to use the dauber to get a little bit of the intensity like right in the center where I want it. I prefer to use this. You can use the blending brush, but I'm just going to create a little bit of intensity right there. And I'm going to do that same thing on this one and on this one. So I'm just kind of enhancing the center of the flower. So then I want to come in with my blending brush, tap that a little bit, and then I'm just going to come around and blend around the edges to create just a little bit more color, but a little softer than that. So have any of you made sourdough bread? Um, I know it was a big craze when of the pandemic and stuff like that. Everybody was baking bread. But I have just discovered it and I really am having a lot of fun with the process and learning how to make it and do different variations. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so we've got our sunflowers all blended, our die cut pieces. And then I want to stamp a sentiment here. Let's see what we're gonna do. Um, I'm gonna do a, we'll do a thank you. Just something different. So I'll do that one. Okay, and I'm going to ink that up. But just because would work really well for a thank you as well as like the hello there. So maybe I should do that. Then I'm thinking, maybe I'm going to change it. I think I am. There we go. Well, because this one I knew what I was going to use it for, but this next one I'm like, I don't particularly have a person that I know I'm going to send it to. So I think I'm going to switch it to the hello there. So we're going to just flip this over because a hello there, I could change it to a thank you if I needed to. I could also change it to thinking of you if I needed to. Yeah. So we'll do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close up my ink pad. And I'm going to use dimensionals to put these sunflowers together. So we'll flip these over and I'm gonna they're pretty sturdy because I use the thick basic white to emboss them. So they've got good structure to them because the heaviness, the thick basic white is heavier. So let's see. I want to see how I want to place them. So before I take the little tabs off, I'm just gonna kind of look at this, see how I want them to go. I think I'll go with that. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna take the little tabs off and start to put those in place. Oh, our weather next week looks like so good. It's like a little fall like we'll take it. Like I don't want to have to like go from, literally shutting the air conditioner off to turning heat on. So please don't get me wrong on that. I definitely don't want to see that kind of weather anytime soon. Um, but I am looking forward to a little bit cooler temperatures. So it'll be a little relaxing on the power bill, that's for sure. Okay, then I want to put I go like, let's see. So I have to kind of determine where I want to put this. And I'm kind of thinking I might go right there and let it rest on there. So because it's going to rest on the top of these two sunflowers, I don't really need to put dimensionals on top of it. But if you were going to say put it like where I put this first one, you would want to put a dimensional on this lower part because it can rest on here with regular adhesive, but you don't want that to kind of then sag. So you would definitely want to put adhesive or a dimensional right there. But because I'm going to rest it kind of like right there, just with my positioning, I'm just going to put some adhesive on it. And that'll hold just fine. So I'm going to go like that. Okay. Let's get some gems and I'll trim that off here. Let me grab some of these little hexagons and then put that one. And then I'm going to put these last two or last ones on there. And then I'm going to trim this off. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this card front on our card base to complete the card. Okay. Great, we'll put that on the front of the card. And then we put this aside. Let me grab one of the envelopes because I did. Okay. I wanted to show you what I did for the card kits because I didn't go ahead and pre-emboss this, but I went ahead and ran the embossing folder on the envelope so it would match and coordinate with your card. So you'll have that as well if you were doing a kit to go. Okay. All right, so let me get these things out of the way. Let's clean up our mess here. So we've got this card with our sunflowers, right? And then let me bring in the other ones here. So we'll have a plethora of all these things. So, okay, so we've got these two. We've got this one with our peaceful view. So it's kind of a summery sunset, but with this very fall-like set. And then the prairie grass with the two different colors of um, uh, ribbon. And then, of course, our very fun and bright, colorful leaves. So this gives you a really good idea of things that you can do with your fall type images, but make them and use them during summer and spring by just changing the color templates that you use for your projects. So I hope that you have enjoyed the projects that I've shared with you today. Please remember to like the video, give me your comments or feedback. I'd love to hear what your favorite project was. And yeah, so I appreciate you stopping in and joining me today with this video. And until next time, I we'll just say happy stamping, create your own paper sunshine and send that along to brighten somebody's day because making a card and sending it out definitely makes a difference in somebody's life. So, yeah. All right. Until next time. See ya.